Welcome to the latest episode of 5 on the Floor on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. Thanks for joining us on your favorite podcast app, on Apple Podcasts, on Android, or recommend Spotify. Also, check out the 5 Reasons YouTube channel for all your South Florida sports content. Off the Floor, that's our Discord server. You'll find everything there. The most heat anywhere, the most heat information, conversation, even controversy. We've got Alex and Eternal squabbling about something on there right now as we speak. You got to be there for that. $2.99 per month. Link is right here in the description. You'll bypass the Apple upcharge. Also, check out PrizePicks. Use the code 5, F-I-V-E. Put down your 5. You get $50 in lineups. It is legal in the state of Florida. If you see a code there already, delete it, add ours. Helps you, helps us. Use the code 5, F-I-V-E, at prizepicks.com. And now, today's episode.
Uh-oh. Yeah. It's Mercy. Music by Mercy again. Heat Nation, we the culture. Yo, E, I need you to call timeout. Need Brady to set the floor plan. Tropical blanket, open for the shot. Yo, Greg, set the pick. Still 5 on the floor, still ride for my dog. Still battle on the court, still survive in the war. Keep your eye on the ball, or get burned from the keep this mic off the wall without turning the cheek. From night to day, no sleepy paths or allowed to morning. The nut is sleeping us, never catch us snoring. Live from Miami, report in the heat with 5 Reasons Sports from the court to the streets. Yeah, Wake County, Heat Nation, we say it proudly.
Welcome to 5 on the Floor, a daily insider show on the Miami Heat and the NBA, featuring Ethan Skolnick, Greg Sylvander, Alex Toledo, Brady Hawk, and others from the 5 Reasons Sports Network. Also, make sure to subscribe to Off the Floor for the most heat anywhere.
Five on the Floor. Here's today's floor plan. I'm Ethan Skolnick. You can follow me at Ethan J. Skolnick in 5 Reasons Sports. I got Brady Hawk. You can follow me at Brady Hawk 305. You can follow both of us on the Sports Illustrated Miami Heat page. I'm managing that now. We're both writing, as is Alex, Austin Dobbins, Mateo Mayorga, and many others. So make sure that you check that out. I mean, literally all of your Heat content is going to be in one place. We're going to be running a lot of it. So, yeah, you're just going to hear from us, unfortunately for you, for us, for everybody else in this NBA space. We're going to talk about a breakout in preseason game 3. Brady has an article up about him here. I'm going to allow him to pronounce his name because I don't want to throw you off. I already did. Go ahead.
Kasparas Jakučionis. I feel like, I'm not the pronunciation guy, but I feel like you'd be confusing me on here when you say the name first. So
everybody is instead of me. Look, Alex is upset at me because I pronounce it as if he's Spanish. He speaks perfect Spanish. He speaks better Spanish than Jaquez does. So I'm just giving him credit for that. But anyway, he's the Heat's rookie point guard. He's 19 years old, and I knew this was going to happen. We all knew this was going to happen. That if he showed something, and last night he showed something. He had 10 assists. He was a plus 14, plus 16. He got into the paint. He was quick with his decisions. But the biggest thing is the vision. The vision was obvious even in Summer League when he wasn't playing with the same level of competition, but also, let's just be honest, he struggled. He struggled in California. He really popped in one game out in Vegas, and I was there for that one. And other than that, it was very, very up and down, and mostly down. And I think that's why, and in addition to conversations that I'd had with people, behind the scenes here, it looked like he was going to spend the majority of his time this year in Sioux Falls. But now Heat fans have gotten a look at him and sort of the possibilities of what could be, and they don't want him in Sioux Falls. So I'm just going to start with this, okay? First thing, what did you like the best of what you saw last night? And then we're going to devote this episode to how exactly is Erik Spoelstra going to be convinced to play him early in the season when even without Tyler Hero available, they are loaded with guards.
Yeah, I would say the thing I like most is just the vision. It was the passing. It was just the natural feel. Like, we haven't seen a point guard like that in a Miami Heat jersey in quite some time, where it was just distributing. There was a lot of things. Like, number one, he looked like a completely different player than the one we saw in July. Like, he looked like just much better in a lot of different areas. Like, there was one specific area you mentioned for a second, was him just getting by his defender one-on-one, where it was like, the only way for him to get to his game, into his playmaking bag, we talked about it a lot in Summer League, was to get downhill, get in the paint, draw defenders, kick out, kind of get in that bag. and he couldn't get by his defender. Like, he was just stuck out on the perimeter and he couldn't get to that next level. I'm watching him last night. He could not get by his defender. Like, every time down, it was early offense, getting past that initial defender. And the amount of respect he was seeing on the floor, like, if you go back and watch these reps that he's getting, he's drawing 3 defenders on a lot of possessions. He's drawing Bam or Ware's big that's guarding him. He's stepping up. And a lot of the times he has Hawk as his defender in the corner, stepping all the way down to the paint when he gets 2 feet in the paint. Like, that's just good thing to say. See, yes, like, this is third string Spurs he's playing against, but like, these are really good reps to see him kind of getting a feel for. The biggest surprise, I would say, for me was his defense. The defense was strong. Like, it wasn't just the first possession where he gets around a screen, jumps the passing lane, gets the steal, goes out, past the key shot for the dunk. There were possessions where he's like falling for a shot fake or something, but recovering. Like, he would slide his feet really quick. He had one where he slid his feet. It was really surprising, where he kind of bit on the shot fake, slid down, and still stayed straight up and got a block. And then they ran out for a transition play. Like, his defense was just really strong. I thought his recovery speed, just his natural feel. He was a really good helper. Like, it felt like every time, so like, one of the bigs for the Spurs had the ball, he was just dropping down in the nails, swiping, going back. Like, he was just so active on defense. And that is just, when you talk about wanting to see him play next season and see, like, getting real rotation minutes, that's what's going to help. But we'll see what the scoring comes along with. He had a nice step back 3, a nice turnaround mid-range shot. Like, that'll come along. Nothing about the jumper, nothing about the form makes me think he can't be a great shooter in this league. Like, he has a good form, good lift, like, great mechanics overall. But the passing is what's going to get him playing time. Like, he is just so natural in that area. Watching him play with Ware, these lob passes. I know Ware gives credit to Pella for good lob passes, or some of the guards. I haven't seen these type of passes on the money that, like, when you're a point guard and you're like almost overthrowing your big, your 7'1" big, like, that's the type of passes you want as a big man. Like, you want to have the ability to, like, have to go up further to go get it and not have it be too low and have to adjust. Like, he just knows his personnel. And it felt like every time Jaime or Keyshot or any of these guys cut, he was kind of hitting them in stride. So, and just a really strong debut from him. Yes, it's a preseason game. Yes, it's only one game. We'll kind of see how it goes for the rest of the preseason, but it's hard not to say that you want to see this guy get playing time with the style that he plays.
Well, you mentioned the passes to Ware. I mean, to me, that's the thing that jumped out the most, because we talk about not having this kind of point guard play in a long time. I mean, the reality is they've almost never had it. they really haven't. I mean, and I know there's going to be a lot of credit given to Goran here, because Goran's working with him, and there's no bigger Goran fan than me. But Goran was not a vision guy as a point guard. Goran was a go-get-it-for-himself type of guy. This more the type player was. He was never a guy to get you 7, 8, 9, 10 assists on a consistent basis. He was just a dynamo in terms of trying to guard him when he got to his spots, when he got to his little step back. And again, very much a rhythm player, great finisher, but not elite vision. That we just didn't have that. Okay, now Lowry, by the time he came to Miami, wasn't trying to use it. And you go back beyond that, I mean, the vision thing was LeBron and Dwayne. Like, wasn't their point guard. I apologize to Rio for this, but that's right. Rio wasn't brought up as a point guard. Really, he started playing point guard with the Heat. He mostly played the 2 when he was in college and before that. So this is a different kind of player than they have had. And you mentioned 2 things: the vision, and I was impressed with the defense also. The scoring, he does seem like a rhythm player. When he is making reads and they are successful, and I saw this in the game out, in Vegas, then all of a sudden he starts to feel comfortable, kind of getting to the step back. On his 3 last night, he reset. Okay, he got a pass from Ware. By the way, I don't want to not give some credit to Ware here, because we're not devoting the podcast to him. We devoted a lot of the written copy to him last night. But the reason Erik Spoelstra is pushing Kel'el Ware is because that is inside Kel'el Ware, okay? If they didn't see that, it's almost like Ware made things more difficult on himself last night, because, like, now we've seen it after Spo called him out in Summer League, and his next 2 games, the effort was much better. And then we just saw last night where he has 29 and 11 or 29 and 13.
Kel'el's setting his own bar. Like, he's setting the bar for the coaches to get on him for.
Right. Like, if you're going to be good, don't be that good. Okay, because now this is going to be expected by everybody all the time. But he was terrific. I mean, his energy, his effort, his second effort on rebounds, and also there was on Cass's first 3, there was a pass from where didn't even think. He got the ball right out to him. The ball moved. That's one of the things I liked about Ware last year is he doesn't seem to be like kind of a ball stopper in the paint. So he was terrific. And I want to give him credit for that. And obviously, he's not going to play that way every day, but you want to see him play as if he's playing against Wemby every day because that seems to get the best out of him. Okay. And as if Spo should just they should just like put a little bug in his ear with just Spo screaming at him. And maybe that you'll get that kind of effort. But back to Kaz. Okay. I think what we saw last night was the high upside vision, to use the word, of what the Heat saw. And I've said that this transformation they're trying to make offensively, which is more pace in not just transition, but just getting into offense earlier, making quicker decisions, a little bit more of kind of a read and react, sort of like Golden State has played with Kerr, a little bit more of a European style. This is all like, if you look at where they're going, it's all to eventually give the ball to this guy. Like that's like you look at the integration, what's going on with Jovic, okay? That style is the style that he wants to play. Okay, you look at Larson, who got on the court last night, immediately went on the floor, just like we told him that he would on the podcast. But you look at the way that they're trying to build this thing now. The final form of this is the ball in Kaz's hands. So on the other side of this, I want to ask you when that actually happens, because now fans are going to want it to happen right away. And Spo is not going to rush that process. We know that. And he's going to drive people insane. And he's going to play a player who I think is going to start opening night, by the way. And I think it's going to irritate a lot of people again. And this player is going to get unfair heat because this player has done everything possible to get back and really should be admired. But we'll get to that in a second. Actually, that player is one of this guy's favorite players, actually. Our friends over at Real Estate Shop, our guy Javier. He's the one who called Drew Smith starting by the end of last year. Of course, it didn't end up happening because Drew got hurt. But Javier is good at a lot of things, and it's not just knowing basketball. It's also real estate. RealEstateShopFL.com or the Fort Lauderdale Realtor on Instagram. Go to RealEstateShopFL.com for a realtor you can trust. He and Amanda, they work all of Broward County, all the way east to west, whether it's Pembroke Pines, Miramar, Fort Lauderdale, Davie, Plantation, and everything in between. So check them out. They got open houses every weekend. The Fort Lauderdale Realtor. They have expertise all over the real estate space. Of course, this is a complicated time to buy a house or sell a house. So make sure that you're working with proven people. Again, it's RealEstateShopFL.com or the Fort Lauderdale Realtor on Instagram. Okay, so let me start with my theory here. I said during Summer League, I thought Jovic was going to start over Ware. And it looks like we're going that way. Now that Tyler Hero is out, I think the opening night starter in the backcourt is going to be Drew Smith. I don't think it's going to be Davion Mitchell. And it's not because Davion isn't playing yet, although we'll probably see Davion at some point before the season starts. He's been nursing an injury. But it's because of the way that Spo likes to layer his rotations. And I think that he's going to end up starting Drew over Davion, because he's going to want to get Davion comfortable with being a team-wrecking player coming off the bench, okay, and helping to run and facilitate with that second unit, especially if Jovic is not going to be part of that second unit, at least at the very beginning. And so I see him starting Drew, who he trusts, who gives you more size than Davion does in the backcourt, and who is just he's not going to try to make a ton of plays. Davion may be encouraged to make more plays this year. And I think off the bench, that makes sense. But I think that to play off of Norm, get Norm going offensively, Drew's going to give up the ball. He's going to spot up and he's going to defend. And I thought he's looked good every time he's been out there this year. He looks healed, which is amazing. And he's just a low maintenance player that I think Spo is going to trust to put out there with the starting group, get Davion comfortable. And then when Hero comes back, Hero slots in for Drew, and then Drew slides to the back end of the rotation. Does that make any sense to you before we get to Kaz?
It does. It's not ridiculous. They've done it before where they want to stash the guy on the bench to get him comfortable for the first month or so before it comes back. But they've done that more, in my opinion, for like young players that like need to get in a scoring rhythm, where it's more so like, okay, we need this guy in a rhythm in that role. Where Davion to me is somebody that could adjust. Like he's somebody that I think is fine in either role, where I ultimately do think it's Davion. I think Davion does start just because I just think Davion's a better Drew. Like it's like all the things that Drew does, Davion just does that at a higher level, just overall. And I think he can kind of adjust the bench starter role. And it's like we both say, it's like Davion's going to play 40 minutes a game anyway. Like he's going to be out there like 24/7 anyway. So it's going to make it a little bit more interesting. The question I think overall, which is Kasparas and Drew, like, could they play together? I think that's like the first thing I think of when I ask, because I think about the rotation right now. And let's say you do start Davion early in the season when he comes back. You have Drew off the bench. That's a given. You have Pella off the bench. That's a given. You have Kalel off the bench. That's a given. There's 3 wild cards, which is Jaime, Fontecchio, and Kasparas. Mm-hmm. Jaime played well last night. I mean, give him credit. They put him in his role. He got back to his game. As he dunked on Wemby. He dunked on Wemby. He didn't shoot any threes. Like he just went.
He went straight ahead, except for the one time he spun to nowhere. And like if you could just like take off the spin function, like on the PS5. That's all you got to do with him. Just remove the ability to spin, and he's fine. If he just goes this way, that's it. And he talked about doing that. And yeah, he was good last night. Okay, so you're saying there's 3 guys there. I framed it as Fontecchio versus Jaquez. And we haven't gotten a chance to really see Simone because he's been banged up also. It seems like Spo's going to want to at least give Jaquez an opportunity early in the year.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, he did start him in the first game. But
and
I know. Okay. I mean, Larson's going to play, right? I mean, there's no question.
Yeah, for sure.
Larson, right?
He's a given off the bench. That's why I just think I would lean 10 with this type of roster. When you're leaning, especially, look, they're saying they want to lean this fast, constantly running offense. If you're doing that, you have to play more guys. You have to have fresh bodies. You have to kind of keep rotating in these new players. And like you said, when I look down this roster and I'm like, who can sustain and keep this team running in January, February? Like it's fine now because it's on everybody's minds. We have to run. But when it's a Tuesday night in January against Charlotte, who's going to keep you running? Jovic is somebody that I think can do it. No. Davion is somebody that is faster paced and I think has that mentality. Mm-hmm. But Kasparas can keep you going. Like Kasparas is somebody that you can throw out there that will stay on you, that every time that ball is inbounded. There were possessions last night, like multiple possessions, where he had his 2 feet in the paint with 20 seconds left on the shot clock. Like he's getting down the floor and immediately attacking early in the clock. That he just has that mentality. He likes playing that fast style. So they have to lean into that.
But Brady, my thing on it is, it feels like Spo either needs to commit to that with him, or do send him to Sioux Falls and then bring him up when somebody gets hurt. Because the worst thing, and we saw this in Summer League, and I still don't really know what they were doing there. Okay. Where they had Cass on the floor and they were putting the ball in the hands of who is it even? I can't remember. The point guard has been around like 12 different places and they were never going to keep anyway. Who's the Summer League point guard that was starting with him? I see we can't even remember.
Yeah,
we were cursing at the television.
July was 10 months ago.
No, I know. And that the thing is, and Cass would just stand in the corner. And like that's not what you want. Okay, like again, he's a rhythm player. There's a pace that he wants to play at that's going to get other players to play at his pace. Last night,
Tyra Lewis is the name you were thinking of.
Thank you. Okay, and we don't need to speak it again. Good luck to him.
Yeah.
Okay, but like they were literally Cass is standing in the corner. Like that is not the way to utilize him. They're better off giving him the team in Sioux Falls for 2 weeks, and then somebody gets hurt and bringing him up and saying, "Okay, here, come up and run the second unit," because he needs to be in that kind of rhythm where there's a flow. He gets into his jumper. The players start to feed off that energy. They start looking for lobs, okay, whether it's Ware or ultimately if it'll be Bam or someone else up front. And Jovic, I want to see him play with Jovic. To me, that's really enticing. I think you look at, him and Tyler is going to be interesting because the one thing that comes across from this group, and this is not a slight to Tyler, who is still their most skilled scorer, okay, although Norm's pretty damn good, is that this group gets off the ball. They do. I mean, that's the way he wants them to play, and that's the way they're playing. Norm does not hold it. Like it is like even if he's holding it for 2-3 seconds, it's to draw some kind of ridiculous foul. He got 2 fouls out on the perimeter with pump fakes. Okay, where it was a little Dwayne like that he showed last night. And so he has that kind of skill set. Tyler needs the ball in his. I know he can play off the ball, but he makes things happen with the ball in his hands. I'm curious to see how that looks with Kaz, and I don't know when we're going to get to it. But I just think that if you're going to play Kaz, you have to give him the keys for the time he's out there. Otherwise, it's pointless. He's not going to develop any confidence.
Yeah, I'll say on the Tyler thing, to be fair to Tyler, I think they wanted him to play that style, but just like the roster it wasn't possible. Like they just didn't have like this overall roster right now fits him getting off the ball much more than the one last year at the end of last year. It is tough because it was even points last night. I mean, where there was times where I was like, me and Alex were sitting there talking like, can they get Kasparas the ball and let him run the offense? Like there were a couple plays in a row where it was Jaime bring the ball down, and then it was like him putting his back to the basket, and it was like they're so not used to having a point guard that they're used to like anybody getting the ball, going up the floor, and then setting up the offense. That like they're just not used to it. It's just something new for them right now. And then Kasparas gets the ball, settles them down, runs a pick and roll, gets the ball to Ware, and then it's a bucket. Like it kind of gets to that point. Can they get to a point? I guess the question is where they can give them the keys. I do think so because like they're going to have to stagger so much this season, where it's going to be. Look, number one, Wiggins, I think, is going to have a big season. He's going to be good, but he doesn't want the keys per se. Like he doesn't want the keys to a lineup. He wants to be the secondary action guy. He wants to be the guy off the.
He wants everybody to forget about him, and then all of a sudden he's going to have a little flourish.
Right,
basically.
like he's not like Norm is going to kind of be the key of a lineup. Like we saw last night. I asked Spo about it last night because he kind of got those minutes with the second unit, which Powell, the second unit, is going to be a staple. Like they're going to need him to man down those lineups. But the other way of manning down an offensive lineup is having a point guard that can get your role players the ball. The issue was in the first game was like they just threw all their role players out there at once, and there was no really ball handlers, or like the roles just didn't make sense. He kind of puts you in a position. So the question is, like, I do think in some ways you could play Drew with Kasparas, just because Drew is an off-ball player, defender. He doesn't demand the basketball. He's kind of showed he's a pretty good shooter right now, like off the catch. Like he is absolutely firing. The issue is if you are playing Kasparas and Drew off the bench together, I hate to say positions, but Jovic is your only four. And I keep coming back to that when I'm looking at these lineups they can get to. What I mean by that is like if you're running Drew and Kasparas off the bench, if Jovic isn't on the floor, it's either Wiggins is your four, Pella or Jaime maybe, or it just gets a little weird that like you're really risking playing a lot smaller. Yes, you're gonna have Ware at the 5, but I guess this is the trade-off they're gonna have to make. Are you willing to go smaller to maximize you playing faster? Yeah. Or are you just gonna try to match the size of these other teams, which I think everybody wants them to play bigger, but you want them to play bigger until you look at the roster of who's the bigger lineups. Like it doesn't really make sense for this team. So in some ways, I know we all want them to rebound better, play bigger, all that stuff. But now I'm looking at this roster, and it's like there were lineups the Pacers were running out last year that were a little bit smaller, but they would just get out there and run. They would just funnel things inside. They would get out and run. I think Miami in some ways has to kind of lean into that. So will we see it a ton? I don't know, but I'm not. To me, it's not the end of the world. Like it's Kasparas or Drew right now. And to be honest, it's funny because Drew's been – it's such a horrible position here. Because he had the hate of the fan base early on. Like it's just trickled down. So now it's gotten to the point where like, okay, this guy's good. This guy's good at basketball. He's a rotation player. We respect him. Now it's okay. Wait, we want to play the rookie. Right. Now everybody's going to get back on the Drew Smith thing because he's in Kasparas' way, which is just so unfair to him. But with that said, like I do think there is a pathway to both of them playing in some ways and just leaning into the fast style and just keep funneling 3-point guards. And now they haven't had 1 point guard over the last few years. And now you have 3 where you can just keep funneling out there to run the offense, run the floor, put guys in position. I don't think this is the worst thing in the world. I think they can utilize all 3 of these guys.
Well, they've also paid Davion now. So that's the other thing. It's a little bit of a different circumstance. And look, to me, it's a quarterback thing. Like Kasparas is a natural quarterback that you're born with that or you're not. And right now, if Drew's going to be playing, he's like the stand-in. Like he's like the Ryan Fitzpatrick while Tua was waiting or something like that. Okay, well, that didn't work out the way the Dolphins liked necessarily. But you get my point. Like he's basically going to be the guy that everybody wants to see move to the side. And I don't think it's fair based on what he's done. But again, fans have to be patient here with the process because the process is to eventually they didn't draft Kasparas, just like they didn't draft Ware, okay, to punish the guy and let him sit there and watch, okay, for no reason. There's with these situations, there's always a couple of elements to it. One element is what is best for the team in that moment. Okay. But the other element, and the one that the Heat under Spoelstra tend to trend to, is what is best for the player's long-term development. And I always come back to this. Okay. For those of you who are wondering how Jovic got to where he is now, or how Bam got to where he was by the time that he was ready to be a starter in his third season, maybe the fact that they were held back a little bit played into it. Like, everybody's like, because the response from fans is always, well, see, you should have played him earlier. He would have been producing this before. And what Spoelstra and the coaches will push back as well, he wasn't ready to do this before. Like, we had to, whether it was mentally, emotionally, physically, tactically, we had to put him in a position where we were challenging the particular player to improve in these areas. Now, once, like last year, for instance, okay, if somebody is ahead of the player like Terry Rozier, who is actively sabotaging every lineup that he's in, then, okay, not intentionally, okay, I'm not accusing, but I'm saying that's what was happening. Then I understand fans' frustration with, like, why are you continuing to throw this guy out there for 35 minutes when you could be playing this one or this one or this one? Then I get it, okay? Like, if Kel'el Ware was playing behind Cody Zeller, okay, I would get it. But when it's a situation where you have a player who can competently do the things that Spoelstra wants him to do, and then you have someone else who's not ready to do some of those finer points, I understand why it is that a player has to wait. And sometimes the reason the player gets better is because he waited. Yes. What were you saying?
So, two things. Number one, I totally agree with you. I wanted to say one thing. Kasparas, Jovic, Ware is something I want to see a ton of, just because we saw the Jovic Ware combination. You add Kasparas into that. Kasparas and Ware last night looked really good. We want to see Kasparas and Jovic. All that is great. But I wanted to mention at the back of this podcast, I know this is a Kasparas podcast, but we do have some breaking news from Shams on the Heat. USA Basketball is expected to name Erik Spoelstra as the new head coach of the men's national team.
Wow.
So that just came through. So that's going to blend into another podcast possibly.
Wow. Well, we've kind of seen that coming. And by the way, for those of you who didn't think Bam was going to be on the next Olympic team,
we'll see Tyler there too.
Spo may be coaching against a lot of his own players in the Olympics next time around. He's going to be coaching against like his entire roster. He'll take Bam and Tyler, and that'll be about it. All right, well, that's huge news. So we'll get to that, and obviously we got a lot of work to do related to that. I will get this podcast up. Thank you, Brady. Thanks to our sponsors. And again, check them out. PrizePicks. Use the code 5FIVE. Real estate shop. FL.com. 2 P's and an E. Have a good one, everybody.